A power struggle in Haiti following the assassination of its president seems to be resolved at least temporarily. Two men were claiming to be the country's leader following the murder of President Jovenel Moïse. Ariel Henry was named as the new prime minister just 2 days before the assassination, but he hadn't been sworn in, and that meant the interim prime minister, Claude Joseph, claimed he was in charge. Over the weekend, it seems the two men came to an agreement. Just hours ago, Henry was officially sworn in as Haiti's prime minister. Weibert Arthus is Haiti's ambassador to Canada. He is in Ottawa. Ambassador Arthus, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I wonder if we could start with what was described as a power struggle between interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph and Ariel Henry, who is assuming office today. Over the weekend, they appeared to have come to some form of an agreement to allow for this transfer of power. Can you explain to us what happened?
I can't really say that there was a power struggle. I think that we preferably had a situation in which a government was there de facto, as they say, and there were another one that was designated. And between there were so much discussions and so much a lot of interpretation about that situation. I think the best solution was for the two men to come together and find an agreement, and this is what they done for the benefit of the country.
This change came after some external pressure from a group of ambassadors known as the Core Group, which includes countries such as Canada, France, Germany, the United States, and they threw their support behind Mr. Henry. Is this a matter that should have been resolved internally without this push from the international community?
I think it was resolved internally because from what I had as information is that Mr. Henry and Dr. Joseph, they had conversation for days, and even before what we call the intervention of the core group, if you heard the declaration of Dr. Henry, for him it was clear that Dr. Joseph was part of his government. What we have today, this is what President Moïse, before his assassination, planned for the country. Because on Monday the 5th of July, 2 days before the assassination, they published an executive order stating that Dr. Henry will be the next prime minister. And it was clear that not only Mr. Joseph, but also the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Justice would be part of the next government. And this is the situation today. Not only the Minister of Foreign Affairs, but the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Finance, they stayed in that government.
Mr. Henry, as you mentioned, he is closely aligned with Jovenel Moïse, the assassinated president, who was criticized as being very authoritarian. And with all of the challenges that Haiti is facing right now, do you have any concerns about that association, given the events of the past several weeks?
Dr. Henry, I've known him for years because I was a journalist before. And when I was a journalist militant, Dr. Henry, he was part of what today is the opposition. And he was a member of the cabinet of President Martelly as a member of the opposition. I can say today that from what I know and from my work as a former journalist, from what I know from people of the country, I can say that Henry is part of the party in power. I can't say that he's a member of the president party, the late president party. He was a member of the opposition, and he was a minister when we had a government of coalition. And I think that President Moïse, before his assassination, called Mr. Henry because he think that he thought that with his capacity, with his part of the opposition, he could put people together in order to have a very open government. And from the information I have right now, the government we have is an open government. Yes, it's not maybe what some people were expected, but we have different parties and different political leaders represented in that government. Mm-hmm. So I think that for people who really knew Dr. Henry, no, he is in fact a member of what the party they call la fusion des sociaux-démocrates, so the fusion of social democrats in Haiti, is mostly close to the government. And this is what gave him an advantage to talk to people from different political backgrounds.
There has been some criticism, though, sir, from activists and people who watch Haiti closely, saying that the appointment of Mr. Henry is a sign that things won't really change in terms of how this government operates. And they've raised concerns about whether this will allow for fair and inclusive elections. What do you say to people who raise those concerns?
Well, I would say that we have a situation. We have an unexpected situation. President was assassinated 2 weeks ago. We had a government de facto. As I used to say, we had a fait accompli. And we had one who was chosen by the president in order to form a government with different political parties. We are not in an ideal situation because, of course, the prime minister should take oath or before the president. We don't have a president now. So to be fully honest, no, we are not in a fully constitutional situation. So I can say that people who are criticizing now Dr. Henry's, they are not totally wrong, but they're not right either, because we have a very complicated situation and we have to move on. The country has to move on. We need to go through the election. So we need to choose what they call at least the least imperfect solution. And this is what we have today. It will be very difficult that year to have a government that will please to everybody. I think that is impossible, even if the greatest democracy in the world.
One final question before we let you go, Mr. Ambassador. The last time we spoke, you said that the interim government had not made any requests for aid or help from Canada in this situation. Has that changed? Do you foresee Haiti formally asking Canada for any kind of assistance?
Yes, I know that there were conversations last week between the Prime Minister of Canada and the Prime Minister at interim of Haiti, and they talk about 3 specific areas in which Canada could help. First, in helping securing the country through the National Police of Haiti. It's an institution well known by Canada. And so Haiti think that with Canada's expertise, they can really help securing the country and securing the election and providing help for election, especially through the Organization of American States. Mm-hmm. Secondly, Canada agreed to help people who were displaced, because we have thousands of people displaced by gang violence in Haiti. Canada agreed to help in that area. And finally, since Haiti is fighting COVID and Canada has that successful, if I can say successful history about fighting COVID, especially through vaccination, mm-hmm. And Haiti is expecting to have some help from Canada in order to keep vaccination going on to protect the Haitian population right now.
Okay. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.